Okay, everyone. So welcome to today's session, which is going to be to introduce all of you to the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning Ethics Committee and give you hopefully a bit of guidance about what the new committee does and what the new process is. So along with me, you should have Linnea Solar and also Carol McDermott, who I think, so hopefully if there are any questions in chat, one of them will be able to pick them up, because while I'm looking like this, it's difficult for me to get to the chat. We also have Joe Ferry, Carolina and Natalie, who I don't think are with us today, but are all very much members of our committee. Structure of the session today. We're going to talk a little bit about the governance of our committee, and then we're going to talk about the approach that we are taking to applications, which is what we're calling a human rights-based approach. We'll talk you through the application process, and we'll talk you through the review process. And I say, if at any time there are any questions, please drop them into the chat, and hopefully one of my co-leads will pick them up, or whenever there's a break, I'll have a look. Or you can stick your hand up or wave frantically or jump up and down or something like that. Okay, so the SoTL Ethics Committee is a University of Glasgow-wide application form and process, and our committee sits at the same level as the other 4 college ethics committees. So there is a University Ethics Committee, which is comprised of members of each of the other committees and other people, and we sit on that. And within our committee, we have the 6 leads, which me, Carol, Carolina, Joe, Natalie, and Linnea. And then we have a team of reviewers. And the reviewers are people taken from across the 4 colleges and across university services. So we're very much equitable and representative of all of the university. And we are open for applications around teaching and learning in HE. So we don't want to get into a big debate about what is or isn't SoTL. If you are wanting to do some sort of evaluation of your teaching and learning in HE, can you apply to us? Yes, you can apply to us. And we have an inbox. We're always very open for people to come to us and say, I want to do this. Is this fine? And yes, it is fine. I'll share the slides afterwards. There's a link on these slides to the web page, which will describe all the processes I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so as I say, we have a set of guidelines that go along with our application form, and our guidance are focused on bringing dignity, integrity, and respect using a human rights-based approach. So it's very much about putting you as the applicant first in the process and your participants in there as human beings. So rather than wanting a black box approach to ethics, we're wanting to turn it very much into a conversation about what it's best to do and not to do when you're undertaking research. And we're very much trying not to act as gatekeepers. We're trying to act as sounding boards. So as all of you begin doing SoTL or more experience in doing SoTL, then all of this is a journey that you undertake holistically and ethically. And we're there to help you with it, support you with it. And also it's very much a two-way process. As you get used to using our application forms and our processes, you can feed back to us to help us to make the whole approach more user-friendly. We're not going to turn it into a tick box approach to ethics. It is something that, as you know, when you do research, you have to think about designing research and thinking about how to act ethically as you do that research is part of it. But what we're always sort of thinking about is, you know, are people adequately supported? Is your research design accessible? And very much about how you might treat your participants as you're doing it. Okay. So guidelines are written, as I say, to encourage reflexivity. And it's really, really difficult, as you'll all know, as you try to fill out forms to get what you have in your heads and what you want to do as an ethical approach and get that, put it onto a form and get it So we're trying to avoid tick boxes. We're trying to ask questions which you can answer, and as you answer them, you think through the aspects of doing your research. A very early question on the form asks you what you think is the standout issue of your ethics application, and that's there very much to help you, to guide you to write your application, but also to help us as reviewers to think, when we're reviewing, what's the big issue? Do you think it's confidentiality? Do you think it's power dynamics? Do you think it's anonymity? Which of the ethical issues do you think we should prioritise? And the methodology section, in the methodology section, we're asking you to use your own words to describe it to us. We're trying not to give you the jargon of one particular discipline, but we're trying to ask you to put things in your own words, and then we as reviewers will interpret it, understand it, and if we don't understand it, we'll come back and ask you questions. And we've tried, as we have written the form, we've tried to think about the natural flow of a project as we ask it, so put things in the same order as we would put them when we're thinking about the project. So a major part about scholarship of learning and teaching is a careful consideration of participants. And this is something that we ask people to do throughout the application, with the recognition that when we are doing SoTL, most of our participants are going to be people that are quite known to us, maybe quite very well known to us. It's our students, our colleagues, and sometimes our students then become our colleagues. So dignity and respect is absolutely vital, because you very much cannot separate what you're doing in your SoTL project and what you're doing in the rest of your lives. So a lot of what we're doing when we're asking you to put in this application is about protecting you as an applicant as much as it is protecting participants. And also it's very much thinking through the effects that you might have on your participants by doing the research, but very importantly, the effect it might have on you of doing this report approach. So there is actually a question in there about how you're going to think about your own well-being, how you're going to make sure you don't burn yourself out by doing SoTL on top of everything else. And as I've said, we do appreciate feedback on everything we're doing. Okay, so I will actually take you through the application now. So the structure of the application, it's a Microsoft form, which is anybody at the University of Glasgow can access it and fill it in. One thing I would say is that we are a staff ethics committee. We cannot process applications from PGT or PGR. They go through their normal schools and colleges as usual. Any member of staff, any contract. So if it's a GTA who is on a staff contract, staff email address, they count as a member of staff. But if it's a postgraduate researcher doing their postgraduate research, they go to their college and school. So the structure of the application, we hope, is straightforward. It starts with basic applicant details. The project details have the method, ask you for methods and methodology, and to consider your participants and tell you about those. The major ethical considerations are risks and well-being. As I say, risks and well-being to yourself, risks and well-being to your participants, anonymity and confidentiality of participants, questions about data management, and then we have templates for the accompanying documents. So we have the consent/agreement form and a debrief form and participant information, and we have templates for all of those which you can access along with the form. So here's the structure. You look at the web pages, and the web pages will direct you to our SoTL inbox. Our SoTL inbox is manned by each of us 6 lead researchers at the moment. Once we get a admin, then that will be the person looking after it. But at the moment, all of us keep a close eye on it. When somebody emails in, we send you the form, we send you the accompanying guidance. Once you've completed the form, it's a Microsoft form, then once you hit submit, then that sends each of us an email. Once we receive the email, then the 6 of us who are lead researchers will look at who the application has come in for, and we will assign a lead reviewer and other reviewers. And then we are saying that we will get the initial decision back to people within 3 weeks. We're being quite lenient with ourselves. We don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're saying we'll do it straight away and all of us just happen to be busy. But I would say so far our decisions have been back within 3 weeks and well within the 3 weeks. So the process is each reviewer has a look at things, completes a review, the lead reviewer takes the reviews, collates them, summarises them, returns them via the SoTL inbox, and either approves or asks for amendments. So I've got the form here. The form has guidance embedded throughout it to help you fill it out. And I've put a link to the form and I've put a link to the accompanying guidance. So here's the state. So lead reviewer and 2 reviewers assigned. And the review criteria you can find on the web pages. So when you put the form in, you know how we're going to review it. And really it's, have you got clear method aims and methodology? Do we think you have appreciated what the ethical issues are and thought about the risks and mitigation and explained them? Is your data management plan clear and according to regulations, and other accompanying materials there? And we will have a review under each of these criteria, and then we will send it back to you and either just say, yes, that's great, on you go, or this is great, on you go. There's some tiny little typos to tidy up, but we trust you to do them, so you've got approval. Or we think there's a few little minor things that need to be changed and come back to us, or more major things. And here are the review decisions. We very, very much expect that the majority of our review decisions are going to be towards the top of the table. We're basing this on the evidence of the applications we've had through so far. And because we know it's a conversational approach, so people can come to us for guidance early on. So that's all I want to say. But what I really want to do for the rest of the session is I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording in a minute, if I can work out how to.